Hello and welcome to Totally Casual Gaming. I am Fontay, and it is only halfway through the week right now. It's Sunday, and so basically, I just wanted to talk about The Last Guardian. I finished it Thursday night. I actually kept playing until, don't tell my parents this, they'll get mad, 3 a.m. in the morning because I couldn't put it down because it was so freaking good and heart-wrenching and just beautiful. And so I was playing. I got Tomb Raider, the Rise of the Tomb Raider next. I've been playing that the past 2 days. Yeah. So basically, The Last Guardian was a heart-wrenching, amazing, beautiful story that had almost no dialogue. The only dialogue in it was either the kid just, which is the main character, just kind of giving a little commentation about what's happening, about pretty much with Trico, or the older him that's telling the story, him giving a commentation of the story he's telling. And typically that would just be like a hint of what you're supposed to do in the puzzle or wherever you're at or where you're supposed to go or something. Take too long, which didn't happen too often for me. Sometimes it would take me a while to do a part and he wouldn't say anything. So I think it was just, I couldn't figure out where to go. So that's one little thing about it, is sometimes you get stuck and you just kind of like, well, what do I do now? And that happened, pretty often with me, not like super often. Don't go crazy like, oh, it happens all the time. Probably five times through the whole game, which actually isn't that much compared to how much you do in the game. It's not a super long game. It's I finished it in one day, and it's like a full day game, but you can do it in one day. It's just so good. I didn't want to put it down, so I didn't. I went to go eat and stuff. I didn't neglect my necessities or anything, but I definitely didn't do anything else but play that game that day. But it was definitely worth every minute. I'm going to talk about basically the positives and then the negatives and then just end it, I guess. So basically the positives would be it's just beautiful, like scenery, the map layouts, the way the map is designed, the actual like what it's made of. Most of it's like gray building stuff, which is really weird to say that gray building is beautiful, but if you ever played Dark Souls, it's kind of got that kind of beauty to it. Where basically, like, it's gray and a little monotone, but at the same time, it's just like so just breathtaking, because you go out of a building and there you just look out and it's not just a vast like valley that way. It's all of these like structures and buildings that you may actually end up going to later, and or you've been to before. And so that makes it really interesting. It's like you can see the whole world when you go outside of a building. It's not like any other game where you look out and it's just like a flat horizon. It's actual buildings that you can see, and if you sometimes jumps towards them, you can't reach them, but you can see you get closer. Obviously you die because you fall into the abyss, but that's, just to make my point. The story itself is just beautiful. Team Eco is great at making low dialogue stories, but like having a relationship, like having a huge relationship with Eco and the girl, can't remember her name, the boy and his girl in Shadow of Colossus, and his horse, and even fighting the Colossus. You can see that he's like, he has a purpose, but at the same time, you can see that the Colossus don't want to fight, and that he doesn't necessarily want to kill him, but he feels he has to. You just get that vibe from the game, and I don't know how they do it, but they do it. And in this one, it just really shows the bond between a person and a creature can have, even if that creature is typically like eats humans, like is a carnivore. Um, it's like if a person was, had a bear or a lion or something as a pet, like that. It's basically the equivalent of what's happening here, and they just do it so well where that you can see that the boy cares for Trico and Trico cares for the boy, and that you start caring for Trico and you start caring for the relationship the boy has, and you feel like you're almost in the boy's like sense of this is your pet or even just your companion, more like, and you need them and you want them around to help you get out for one, but just you want them around. Like when you get in the story at the end, you're like, I really hope at the end, like he comes to the village and they accept him, and like he's okay there. And I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but God, it makes you sad. It makes you so sad. I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I cried. I cried at the ending. I like had my heart ripped out of my chest a couple times throughout the story. It was crazy. I was like, well, what's gonna happen next? That's why I could never put it down. I was like, what's gonna happen next? Like, something would happen and I'd be like heart pounding and I'm just like, what do I do? What's gonna happen? What are they gonna do? And it's just like, and then there's moments which you could probably assume, so I don't feel like this is a huge spoiler. There's moments, I'm not gonna tell you when either, but there's moments where you get split up from Trico, and all I could think about the whole time was just like, okay, I need to progress so I can find Trico. That's the only thing I was thinking. Like that's all I was thinking. And it's so crazy how it's like you get the feeling of the bond between the boy and Trico, but you also have your bond with Trico. How much you care about Trico, how much you care about the boy and Trico. And for me personally, I cared more about Trico than the boy. I was like, I'm gonna make this boy go freaking anywhere and do anything to find Trico again, so they can be together and I can see him again. Like it just messes. It pulls the strings, man. It pulls all the emotional strings. It was crazy. Definitely a roller coaster ride. Definitely, it was nuts. Okay, so basically the couple bad things, the cons of the game that I found were mostly just the controls. But they're not horrible. They're not bad. They're okay. But there's a little good side to them as well, which I'll get to. Basically, what I had a problem with, one thing I had a problem with in the controls is the boy. Just like a little weird on climbing things. Like if you're climbing a chain and you try and jump from the chain to a platform, it was really hard to. You had to move the camera yourself, which is something different. Most games with climbing usually move the camera for you, like Assassin's Creed or Uncharted or even Tomb Raider. They move the camera to where you just have to press left or right and jump. You'll jump, the sideways. But in this, you had to move the camera sideways so you could jump sideways. And so it was a little weird and a little, I guess it's not a bad thing once I knew what to do, which goes along with the learning aspect, I guess. But it's kind of more of a control than like an actual thing of the game. What would I call that? A mechanism of the game. It's a control versus a mechanism. So instead of learning, I can tell Trico to jump, then versus, I got to move the camera this way so I can do what I want to do. It's a little different. And so basically, that was the main control. Sometimes you'd be running around and you would just kind of like, it would feel like you got a little stuck, but it was like, it was okay because he would hit like a wall, corner of a wall or something, and he would put his hands and push around, which is really weird to see. Not like he would take it and like move himself. He would like try like he's pushing a box or something, and then it'd be a wall, and so then he would just kind of push through the side of the wall, not in the wall, but like around it, and then he would kind of fall forward, which is really weird. But I think it was just the fact that when you run into something, the game kind of automatically thinks, hey, you're pushing something, which is fine. I mean, it was just a little weird to see and a little weird feeling, I guess. And this is the next thing is something that was kind of bad, but also was kind of good in a way, for the story. The bad part was controlling Trico was difficult, especially at the beginning. Like I said in the last video, you have to wait. You have to be patient. And so you have to basically treat it like an animal you would have, like a dog or cat or ostrich, I don't know. But basically, you're training it in a way. And so you learn from each other. You learn Trico's eye patterns. You learn his motion patterns. You learn his little mannerisms that he has. So like when he's about to jump or when he's looking at something of interest, you're like, you start seeing that. And you can see the same thing if you look at your dog or cat or whatever pet you have, if you have a pet. You look at your dog and you can understand when they're looking at something, you're like, they're interested in that. So you look over there and you see what they're interested in. Or they're barking. And so you're like, well, what are they barking at? And then with my dog Juno, me and my dad can tell the difference in her barks. There's a bark where, hey, I'm outside. And then there's a different tone for, hey, there's something outside. There's another tone for, like, hey, something's just wrong. Another one for, like, I'm not feeling well, which is not really a bark. It's more of like a whine or something. But still, like, or like one there, she's like rowdy. She wants to do something, just different mannerisms. We can tell what she wants now. Oh, obviously, at first it took us a while, but being around her enough, you eventually understand the different mannerisms. Same thing in this game. They do really well with that. So, like, as an example, with Trico jumping, you see him kind of rear back like a cat would. Like if the cat was going to jump up to a couch or something, you would see him kind of like rear back, and then he, pounces forward. And then different eye colors mean different things, which you'll kind of learn. But so that was a good thing about Trico. But then controlling him was the difficult part. It was like you would tell him to do something, and then it would take him a while to do it, or he just wouldn't respond, which I learned that if you give him multiple commands that are different, he'll just be like, I don't know, what are you trying to tell me to do? I'm not going to do anything. If you try to tell him move forward and jump, and then maybe move in a different direction, he wouldn't realize, oh, I needed to jump. He would be, the game would be like, well, what are you trying to make him do? Which makes sense, because if you tell a dog sit, jump, and roll over at the same time, they may do one of them. They'll probably sit, and then after that they'll be like, I don't remember what you said. But they're not going to know exactly they're not going to know the steps unless you work with them in the steps, which you don't have enough time in this game to do that, obviously, and it's a game, so it only has so many mechanics. But point is, it shows that it's an animal. It's not something that you immediately understand each other. And so that's another good thing in the bad thing, is that it kind of emphasizes that it's an animal. It takes a bit to understand what you want. It doesn't always understand what you want. And maybe it just doesn't want to do what you want it to do. Maybe it can't do what you want it to do. And so you learn also what it can do, what it's capable of doing, what Trico will do for you, what he won't do for you. And it's just, that's pretty much all I have to talk about it. It's really good. I would recommend it to anybody that loves a good story. It has its own little art style, which is nice. I end up liking different art styles like Journey and Shadow of the Colossus and like even Borderlands art style, where it's like comic book. I like different art styles that aren't trying to, look the most realistic, which don't get me wrong. I love realistic games as well. Like freaking, what would be a realistic game? Like Assassin's Creed was trying to do, or like Grand Theft Auto tries to do, where everything looks really realistic. I love that too. I love seeing the capability, these things have, but for whatever reason, I really enjoy the different, because it's creative versus, I guess, intuitive. one of those, that kind of comparison, like creative versus just trying to make it the best or look the clearest or whatever. And so I think I like that creative aspect in games. Anyway, I am way past my time, but that's pretty much all I had in Last Guardian anyway. I'll actually make this a separate video since it's so long. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you don't mind 2 videos this week, and I'll talk about Tomb Raider in the next one. It says 33%, but I think that's including all of the collectibles and stuff, so I'm probably halfway through the game. Maybe. I feel like something like that, so I'll probably finish it by Wednesday if I play it. So yeah, I'll see you Wednesday. Adios!